Next.
Yeah.
Right, we're live. Come on, guys. You can invite everybody in.
Yes. Zoom has changed its appearance in my laptop.
So, shall we start?
जी बिल्कुल। मैं शरण्या मैम का जादू देख रही हूँ, 2 पेज पे आ
I know. I know. I know. And it's constantly increasing.
जी जी जी।
Yeah.
तो शुरू करते हैं समीक्षा।
Yes.
नमस्ते दोस्तों, मैं पारुल और आज के हमारे सेशन में आप सबका स्वागत है। कह दूं तुम्हें या चुप रहूं, दिल में मेरे आज क्या है। बात निकलेगी तो फिर दूर तलक जाएगी। इस तरह से कुछ भी कहने सुनने के लिए हमें बात करने की जरूरत पड़ती है, कहना सीखने की जरूरत पड़ती है और साथ ही जरूरत होती है कम्युनिकेशन की। तो बात कहना ज्यादा जरूरी है, बोल पाना ज्यादा जरूरी है या कम्युनिकेशन ज्यादा जरूरी है, और ये दोनों चीजों में क्या अंतर है और ये कैसे होना चाहिए, और हमारे स्पेशल नीड्स एंजल्स के लिए हम इसे कैसे बढ़ा सकते हैं और उन्हें सिखा सकते हैं शुरू के कुछ सालों में भी और बाद में भी हम उनके लिए इस पे क्या क्या कर सकते हैं। इस सब बात करने के लिए आज हमारे साथ हैं हमारी प्यारी डॉक्टर शरण्या, और उनसे बातचीत हम करेंगे। स्टार्टिंग में थोड़ा सा हमेशा की तरह एक प्रेजेंटेशन होगा। मेरी आप सबसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि आपके जो भी सवाल हैं प्रेजेंटेशन के दौरान ही आप उन्हें लिख लीजिएगा या चैट बॉक्स में डालते जाइएगा, और जैसे ही हम क्वेश्चन आंसर के लिए फोरम को ओपन करें आप अपने सवाल पूछिएगा। होता क्या है कि जब मैं और समीक्षा कार्यक्रम के अंत तक जाते हैं तब जाकर आपके सवाल आने लगते हैं, आपको लगता है कि अब हम पूछें, और तब हमारे पास समय नहीं होता है कि हम आपके सवालों को ले सकें। तो इसलिए आप सबसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि अपने जो है सवाल एक नोटबुक पे साथ साथ लिखते जाइएगा। तो समीक्षा, स्वागत करते हैं हमारी आज के मेहमान का।
I
समीक्षा,
think Shani का वो हो गया
हाँ
होगा.
मुझे लगता
Probably
है,
joining.
Understand, offer a
हाँ
chance
जी,
Shani,
which
you
comes
just
along
यस यस समीक्षा,
with the
जी 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 समीक्षा। हाँ
yeah, which comes along with the diagnosis of Down syndrome. That can make feeding a challenge for children and adults with Down syndrome. They have better receptive skills.
Sammy, you're muted and you are not audible.
समीक्षा, अब आप
Am
दोबारा
I?
से शुरू करें. थोड़ा सा आपके कनेक्शन में कुछ गड़बड़ थी. अब हम आपको बहुत अच्छे से
Yes.
सुन सकते हैं.
You know what?
Okay.
I
So
thought
sorry.
Samiksha has gone AI.
जी.
Yes, I think I'm proceeding towards that. Thank you, Sandhya ma'am. So thank you, Parul. We're starting again. Good evening, everyone, and welcome in today's session. We as parents slowly come to understand the anatomical and physiological characteristics of our champs, which comes along with the diagnosis of Down syndrome. That can make feeding, swallowing, speech, sound, articulation a challenge for children and adults with Down syndrome. We also know that children with Down syndrome usually have better receptive skills and thus can comprehend more language than they can produce. In a lot of discussions in our forum, we have also come to realize that before our champs can learn to form words, they must master a variety of pre-speech and pre-language skills. Better communication skills will assist them to share their thoughts, needs, and emotions, in turn enriching their social interaction and overall quality of life. We all are well aware that individuals with Down syndrome require a variety of support when it comes to improving their speech and language abilities. It works only when it is specifically designed to meet their individual needs. Finding the right speech therapist and program to help our loved ones reach their fullest potential is very important. And working together with a group of experts, DSFI has been consistently constructing the ideal team with a perfect frame of mind and competencies. We are therefore pleased to welcome Dr. Sharanya Krishnan today as another expert from our panel of specialists. She has worked on our champions' expressive and receptive language skills for many years in order to equip them with the ability to communicate fully through gestures and sign language combined with speech. Numerous self-advocates have benefited from her work on language development, and she has also taught parents effective communication techniques to help them to increase their child's language output. From past many years, Dr. Sharanya Krishnan has been involved in working, I think I'm repeating myself, many self-advocates she has supported. She is an expert in the diagnosis and treatment of children, neurological and speech language disorders, and have been working in clinical settings for nearly 20 years now. Dr. Sharanya, a gold medalist throughout, is the go-to expert for all the speech-related concerns of all the Humsuffers who have been seeking her guidance. So parents, join me, Parul and Federation in extending a very warm welcome to Dr. Sharanya. Over to you, ma'am. We are waiting to hear you and learn from you.
Thank you, Sammy. As wonderful as ever you are. Thank you for the lovely introduction. So today I want to keep the presentation very short and small. I want to open the floor for questions because every time, we sort of run out of time for that. So let's make time today for questions. Just a request that try and keep the questions as general and generic as possible so that it would benefit a larger number of parents. I understand you have specific queries about your own children, but if it's really specific, then please, I will leave my email address in the chat box. You please write to me and I would be more than happy to address them individually. So let's get started. I'm going to share the presentation now. Yeah. So I'm sharing the screen. Are you able to see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So the topic that we're going to discuss today is a very general topic, improving speaking skills in self-advocates. We all know that, this, the term improving, the word prognosis, all these things depend on various factors. It is not easy as it seems, okay? So there are a lot of things that govern, these things. So what causes speech error? So today I'm going to specifically address issues that are generally faced by school-going kids. We start early identification, start working on children at a very early age, as early as 6 months. and we reach a point where we're able to provide kickstart inclusive education in a play school. I think we should pat ourselves on our backs to and feel good that we've sort of arrived at that place right now. And Now what after that? What happens after getting that admission? Even this morning I received a message, a very lovely message from one of our parents from the federation. She said, "Ma'am, thank you so much. I had just given a letter, about the child's strengths and what he's capable of, and what all he has achieved in the last couple of years working with me. And apparently that has, helped a little bit in pushing his admission a little." So this morning she messages me. I wake up to this beautiful message from a parent saying, "Sharanya ma'am, thank you so much. And I'm so happy and thrilled to share with you that my son has been admitted in kindergarten 1. Okay. So as, happy and thrilled as I am, I'm also, a little worried about the responsibilities that I have going forward with this child. Okay. Now our responsibility doesn't stop with just getting them into the school. What happens after that? How are these children going to cope, amidst, a bunch of kids can be of all kinds. There could be very nice and supportive and empathetic kids. There could be a little, harsh kids, a little bullying kids. But they have to go out there and survive. It's like you just drop them, you throw them into the ocean, and they have to swim, they have to survive. So what are those things that we need to address in school going children? So let's look at speech errors. So when I say speech errors, I'm not going to elaborate on language. I've spoken a lot about receptive and expressive language and all, language development and vocabulary development and all that in my previous talks. So speech errors per se are the actual, the articulation, pronunciation, what actually comes out of the child's mouth is the speech, right? Sound production and all those aspects. So hearing ability and auditory perception plays a huge role in how the child perceives and produces a particular sound. Okay. The second here is another big challenge that we all deal with, which is low muscle tone. Okay. And this is where, low muscle tone and weak oral muscles, these are the things that sort of, come as stumbling blocks for us, because right from feeding to sending specific things in the snack box to, getting the children to use their oral muscles is a big challenge. No child likes to, sit for oromotor therapy. They hate it. Even I don't like it. But, it looks scary. You have to wear gloves and you're wearing a mask and you have these speech tools and whatever, brush and this and that, and diving into the child's mouth like that. It's a very scary, overwhelming experience for the child. But we have to, sort of spend some time in working on those issues to see a change in the child's speech production. Now, the other challenge is that the upper jaw is a little smaller, okay? And remember that the jaw plays a very, very, very crucial role in sound production, because the lower jaw is free to move, right? While the upper jaw stays where it is, but it forms the the roof of the mouth, which is very important for producing most of the sounds. So try and say t, d, n, l, r, r, k, ch, j. All these sounds. For all these sounds, you have to make contact with the roof of the mouth, right? So your upper jaw plays a very, very important role. High arched palate. So what is a high arched palate? So like the way we have, flat feet and arched feet, high arched feet, the palate could also be high arched in children with Down syndrome. So what happens is when I have to say t, and if my palate is like this, and I have to say t, t, okay, my tongue makes contact with the roof of the mouth, with the alveolar ridge just behind the teeth. T, it's easy. What happens when it is high arched? It doesn't reach the t, t, t. It doesn't reach the top of the mouth, right? So high arched palate, small upper jaw, all these are again going to make it difficult for the child to produce certain sounds. Of course, with dental intervention, certain things can be corrected, and that has a huge impact on speech. But there is a certain age where when they can start the dental intervention. Now, the other thing is mass of the tongue. So when the tongue is thicker and heavier than usual, it tends to be a little sluggish. One, because of the weight, the mass, and two, because the muscle tone is low. So it's a little flabby and sluggish. So if you have to make quick changes and quick transitions within the oral cavity, it becomes a challenge. So going to the next. So slow transition from the pre-linguistic stage to speech. This is what we usually do. Okay, we transit from the pre-linguistic stage, we work on language, and slowly, very slowly, progress to speech. The finding, was an interesting article, a study that I found in a journal. The findings of Buckley in 2000 extend our understanding of lexical acquisition in Down syndrome children. Her data show that vocabulary growth is quite slow. Okay, so we all know that the comprehension develops rapidly, but the vocabulary, the rate at which they learn, the rate at which they develop vocabulary is rather slow compared to neurotypical kids. So at 24 months of age, around the age of 2, the average productive vocabulary was around 28 words. This is when parents come to me and say, मैम ये बहुत सारा single words बोलता है, अगर दो words नहीं बोलता, he doesn't combine words, but he's able to say most of the words independently. Now this is where is 28 and where is 250 for a typically developing child? Right? So we need to understand that a typically developing child has already acquired a vocabulary of 250 words. All right. And this child is now ready to combine and make different permutations and combinations with those 250 words to produce 2-word phrases and 3-word phrases. Now, when you have only a bank of 28 words with you in your vocabulary, how do you expect your child to, produce 2-word phrases or 3-word phrases? It's going to be a difficult task, right? Now, so it is very important that we spend a lot of time, a good amount of time in building their vocabulary. So once you build a child's vocabulary and you feel that the child is ready, start working on speech clarity at that point in time. Don't be in a hurry to jump into pronunciation and clarity and all that. Let the child speak. Let them start speaking confidently. Now, I have faced personally, I have handled quite a few children who have begun to talk early, but when you start working and correcting their articulation, every other word is corrected, every other word in a sentence is wrong, so you tend to make the child repeat it or correct it. It sort of puts them off, okay, and their flow of speech is interrupted. It's okay if they make mistakes, okay, it's okay if they say bubble for balloon. What is the big deal? Even during the normal course of language development, up to the age of 4.5, the child is given allowance to reduce cluster consonants, to interchange phonemes, like, say pack for cap. All these things happen. But, it is fair that, we give children time to sort of bloom. Because if we are in a hurry to correct their clarity very early, then it reduces, it sort of blocks their flow of speech and blocks their language development also. So I prefer to, allow them to start talking. And once they are confident, once they confidently start communicating, is when I start even thinking about working on speech clarity. So let's talk about speech clarity. So articulation and speech sound production is what is the most important thing here. Okay, so when you say articulation, to put it in very simple terms, I mean sound production. That is how you produce your sound. How perfectly are you able to produce a sound? The pronunciation, right? The second thing is voice. Many times we forget that voice plays a very, very important role in the clarity of speech. Okay, I might be able to speak very clearly. All my sounds may be okay, but if I am going to have a very rough voice, my voice is not going to be clear, right? If I'm going to have a hoarse voice or a breathy voice or a rough voice, it is going to affect the speech clarity a lot. But I am actually articulating everything perfectly. Let me take three sounds: p, t, and k. Why? Because p is a front sound, t is a tongue tip sound, and k is a back sound, right? So I'm going to say p, t, k in my normal voice, which is p, t, k, p, t, k, p, t, k, p, k, p, t, k. Pataka, 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 pataka. So when my voice quality changes from normal voice to breathy voice to a rough voice, can you see the change that it produces in the overall output of speech? Yeah. So voice plays a very, very crucial role. And most of us, even we as therapists, sometimes, get carried away. We don't pay attention to the child's voice. And we have to remember that self-advocates have a low pitch. In general, their pitch is low. Why? Again, because the mass of the vocal folds is more. Okay. And of course, I need not talk about the hormonal issues and all that. All that plays a very important role in the voice, how the voice sounds, what the pitch is like, right? So when the voice clarity is low and when the pitch is low, that's how much they can, sort of produce. So we'll have to keep that into consideration. The other important thing that I notice in school-going children is the fluency, flow of speech. Okay, the smooth flow of speech, the beautiful sync between the thought process and speech output. That gets disrupted at some point. Not for all kids, but some of them. Okay, this leads to something called stuttering, which is commonly, called stammering. Right? Now, stuttering or stammering is again triggered by many factors. We see it in older group of children because usually stuttering and stammering is, further, accelerated and precipitated by anxiety issues, stress, and it's sort of there is a breakdown between the child's flow of thought and the flow of speech. So there is a clear mismatch over there, right? So when the child gets, it's normal for all of us. I'm used to talking to all of you, but or say on a day I'm unprepared or I'm really nervous or I've had a very stressful day, I could stumble, I could stutter, okay, I could fumble. So it all depends on the state of mind. Right? Having said that, it also depends on the physiological state, because flow of speech is usually, smooth when all the subsystems are in sync. The respiratory system, your voice, the phonatory system, the articulatory system, and the resonance, that is the quality, the tonality, and all this, which is, governed by the master control, which is the nervous system. So all these 5 systems have to be in complete sync. That's when the speech is also free flowing, right? So we don't even, think about these things on a day-to-day basis because it happens so easily, and uh, organically for all of us. So only when the child starts stammering do we, break things down and say, okay, Abhi, now what do I have to do? Should I start working on, let me look at how much breath support the child is having for voice production. Let me see if the subsystems are in sync. Do I have to put the child in through some airflow techniques? Do I have to reduce the rate of speech of the child? Right? Many a times children want to talk as fast as, they think. They think so quick. They have everything ready here. Okay. And they just want to blurt it out. So that's when this disruption again happens. So if they pause, if they speak, and if you have seen their speech is a little robotic in the sense the ups and downs, the intonation patterns are all, missing in their speech. These are the missing parts of the puzzle in their speech. So most of them speak. They speak beautifully. Even those self-advocates who speak on stage, initially when they used to speak in our IIDSC and all the forums, I used to be flabbergasted, look at them with so much admiration. And then the speech pathologist in me started, my ear is tuned to, listening to speech more with more keenness. So I start tuning into it and I'm like, okay, now how is the intonation pattern? How are the ups and downs? Does the question have a rising pattern? Khayaj, did you eat? Eat. There is a difference between eat, eat. Okay, when you say eat, there is some, concern that is also, shown in the voice. Did you eat? Have you eaten yet? Right? So these patterns are often, flat in our self-advocates. So these are important things that actually speech clarity depends on. Okay. Now let's go to the actual speech production. So when we talk about speech production, sound production necessitates some air pressure movement. So as I was talking about the subsystem, the principal source of that energy is the air in the lungs. The air in the lung comes out, the exhaled air, your vocal folds, it passes through the vocal cavities above the larynx. So when I say larynx, it's the voice box, the throat. Okay, the exhaled air sets the vocal folds into vibration. The vocal folds vibrate like a, like a string instrument, and it produces voice. Okay, and it is in the mouth, inside the oral cavity, that all the major changes happen. The articulators above the larynx, the tongue, jaw, and the lips change in position as speech is produced. And this leads to the different sounds in different languages. So for example, if I'm just producing a single sound, ah, okay, so I'm breathing in, now I'm going to breathe out and produce the sound ah. Pa, ta, ka, la. So the ah is a constant. My articulators are moving. Sometimes my lip moves. Sometimes my tongue moves. The back of my tongue moves. Sometimes the front of my tongue moves. So this is what happens. The voice is produced here. Vocal folds vibrate. But when it comes to the oral cavity, the teeth, the tongue, the jaw, and the lips take different positions to produce different sounds. Okay. Now, kahan pe gadbad hota hai? Let's look at that. Where, children have difficulty is when you start teaching them how to produce the sounds, they learn it perfectly, produce it beautifully. There is something called co-articulation, co-articulatory effects, which means like if there are 3 children sitting in a bench, in a classroom, in a class, there are 3 children sitting in a bench. If one is very naughty, that naughty one tends to influence the other two. Okay. If one eats too much sweets, the other 2 will also get tempted and eat. So this is what each one has an effect on the other. If you are an extrovert and you marry a quiet and introverted person, over a couple of years, you will sort of latch on to the qualities of your spouse. Vice versa also. Okay. So in my case, I've not been able to succeed in making my husband an extrovert and a loud person. I think I've calmed down a bit. So his influence has been greater on me. So basically, one sound influences the other sound. That's what I'm trying to arrive at. So when you take a word, okay, let us take the word computer. Okay, computer. So the k, u, p, t, r. So many sounds are there. Computer. Okay, so each sound is influenced by the preceding sound, the sound before, and the following sound. Now, this is where our children have difficulty in applying what they learn as individual sounds. Okay, so if I teach the child to say pa bolo, perfectly they will say. When I say it in 2 syllables, pa, they will say. Now do multi-syllable combinations, pa, pi, po, pa, pe, they will be able to do. Now say computer. They say commuter. Okay, the p is influenced by the m. Commuter. I hear it as commuter and not computer. Okay, that's where they forget to apply. They forget to put that much pressure for the p. Okay, so as a speech therapist, it's very, very difficult for us also to, make those corrections. And that's where I feel most of us fail. So if we pay more attention there, we'll be able to crack this. Articulation. So how do we go about, analyzing and treating this whole process? So what do? We do a thorough error analysis. So we make the child say a lot of words. We have these standard lists, okay, phonetically balanced lists and whatnot. So we make the child say it. We categorize the errors as, whether they are substituting, whether they are distorting the sound. The sound is there. वो t बोलता है, लेकिन t doesn't sound like t. It sounds like ta, ta, ta. You can't say he's not saying t. It sounds like t, but it is not exactly t. So when the precision is lacking, we say it is distorted. Okay, sometimes they will omit. Okay. So they might omit certain sounds. Sometimes they delete the last sound. Okay, they'll just leave the last sound. So like this, we see what is the error pattern and how often and what is the pattern of occurrence. Is it happening in isolation, that is when it is produced alone, or is it happening in words? If it is happening in words, is it happening when it combines with certain sounds? So this is what we do in error analysis. So once that is done, we have a very clear picture of what to work on. Okay, so these sounds are affected. Now these sounds have to be worked on priority. I generally start with, front sounds, bilabial sounds, pa, ba, ma, because it's visually easy for them to learn. And our children are visual learners. They are fantastic. The moment they see, they learn. Okay, so I start with, front sounds. The most important thing in articulation, which many people tend to skip again, is perceptual training. They have to hear the sound correctly. They have to be able to discriminate the sound correctly to produce it correctly, right? So I spend a lot of time working on perceptual training. So you produce and you ask the child to say whether you're correct or wrong. Okay, so that will give them a sort of an understanding of whether the sound is correct or wrong in the first place. The second thing that I do is, apart from me producing and asking the child to say correct or wrong, I also record the child's production and keep giving them auditory feedback. Like when we make them study, we'll say, "ठीक है, यहाँ पे he's made a spelling mistake. पढ़ो, अभी you see what mistake have you made?" How many of us say that? All of us do that as parents. We ask our children to see what their mistakes they have made, and we ask them to self-correct. Poor things they will see, and for them it will look correct only. Everything is right. I've done it correctly. I've written it correctly. What is wrong? Chumma, simply you're saying. That's what they will say. Okay. But it is very important for them to listen to themselves. That's what they do. So once they start listening to themselves, they start self-correcting. Okay. And the children who self-correct, no, they're so smart. I just need to look at them, stare at them for a second, and they'll know that they've made that mistake, and they'll correct it themselves. You know? So self-correction also needs a lot of ear training. So perceptual training is basically ear training. कान को ट्यून करना है. गलत साउंड क्या है, सही साउंड क्या है. Okay. The next is production training. That's very straightforward. We have different techniques that we follow to teach them how to place the tongue, how to produce the sound, and all those things. Okay. The next part is the most redundant and boring part of therapy. This is articulation drills. Drills is like repeating something. What do you mean by drill? Drilling means to repeat. Okay, so exercise drill is when you do the same mass drill, no, in school. Like that, you have to do sound drills. Unfortunately, this is what will finally work, because practice is what is going to, get them to close to perfection. Unless we give them the practice, it's not going to happen. So how are we going to, get them to do this boring exercise? The only thing that we can do is bribe. When I say bribe, reinforcement. Find out what your child likes. Okay, see how you can motivate your child to sit for. See, it's unfair to get the child to do half an hour of articulation drill in a day. I remember seeing a child in Coimbatore, our very own Dr. Pradeep's in his clinic. So when I visited Coimbatore once in his clinic, I remember seeing a child. Okay, the child is angelic. She's so perfect. And she will sit for half an hour. Mother will send me half an hour videos, long videos. I'm like, stop it. Don't sit with her for so long. But she said, no, ma'am, she's sitting. But not all children are like that. Most of them will boycott. First 3 minutes, finished. They switch off, completely off. Okay. So you have to be very smart in, reserving your reinforcements. Use them at the right time. Use them at the right time. Get them to sit for short, periods of time. So it could be 7 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening. Enough. 12 minutes a day. More than happy. But do it every day. That's all. Every day of practice. That's all. So, I remember my music teacher telling me, she would tell me, now you're in college, you're really busy, you travel far, you study a lot. I know you may not have time to practice, but I can't take that as an answer. You won't get 10 minutes to practice. Imagine no practice at all versus 10 minutes of practice a day. You end up practicing for more than 1 hour a week. Right? 10 minutes of practice a day is 70 minutes a week. Can't you do that much? So when I tried to do that much, I was able to show some improvement. And that improvement itself is motivation. Right? So along with this, supplementing all this with oromotor exercise, it has to happen together. Okay, you can't do oromotor separately and then bore the child by doing articulation drilling. You have to do both together. Do both together, and do it consistently. That will show a lot of changes. Now, coming to voice, yes, they do have a low-pitched voice. Okay, what you can do is increase vocal loudness, because many a times I feel many self-advocates talk, they mumble a lot. They talk within themselves. Okay, now this could also be because of lack of confidence. Right? So if they are confident, the moment you're confident, your voice opens out. Okay? So remember that all these things are interlinked. So do a confidence building exercise and see that, you will see that your child's vocal loudness increases. make them use an open mouth approach. So when I say open mouth approach, they'll have to open their mouths a little bit more for vowels, like A, E, U, A, I, blends like I, ow, all these sounds. If they can just open their mouth a little more, the voice gets projected and the clarity improves. These are simple things, very, very simple things that you can, habituate your child to do. So fluency, as I said, there is a huge timing mismatch. It's triggered by anxiety, more so by fast rate of speech, and mainly lack of awareness. They don't listen to themselves. They're happy. Some of them are happy to stutter. They don't care. If they're like that, even I'm okay. It's okay. Let's not force them to this thing, but reducing rate of speech and helping them during their periods of anxiety will come a long way. You will see a lot of changes in the fluency. Yes, so, and that's a wrap. I want to now answer all your questions one by one without any delay.
That's so true. All days are not same, and the day how it is going, how it starts, really impact one's personality, and it really impacts throughout the day how you conduct yourself. And we do not consider this for our self advocates, because we ourselves get into drills, a certain drills
Actually,
with them.
my
So
mother
true.
keeps telling me, Tami, she
Yeah.
said, do you practice what you preach? You advise. I hope she's not watching this. Usually she'll
So
log in.
true. So
And
true. So
she
true.
tells me, do you practice what you preach? She'll say, see how you're yelling at your kids, but you're an epitome
Yeah.
of patience in your clinic. Even
Yeah.
10% of that, if you show with your children, you won't
Yeah.
have to deal with all these problems.
So true. So true.
It is like that. It's easier said
It
than
is like, yes. Humans are constructed in that way. So, ma'am, coming to the questions, here a parents in the chat box wants to ask that does aging affect the speech and communication skills in our champions?
It does, very much. Aging will affect, but aging in the sense, it really depends. As I said, voice is the primary indicator of your mind. Okay, so if they start talking less, if they quieten down, it doesn't mean because they are not able to speak or they are not able to produce voice. The shutdown is happening here at this level. That's where you need to, sit and work. I'm talking about older adults.
Yeah, understood. It's in regard to adults. Yeah.
That's when I see this, the sudden changes of not wanting to speak, suddenly shutting down. All these years, they would have spoken a lot.
Yes.
But yes, aging affects because they get more aware. They get more conscious of their own production. So they sometimes, feel that they rather avoid talking than, talk like this.
Yeah.
I have seen many adults do that. Yes, I have an adult, but when he speaks, he doesn't speak the whole word.
The whole word.
Here, only starting word is clear. What to do? Yes, this is because he's habituated. This is how he has been speaking all along, right? So what you can do, a very effective strategy is syllabification. Okay, you break a word. Every word has a rhythm, an inbuilt rhythm. So when I say car, it has only one part, car. But when I say apple, apple. Okay. When I say aeroplane, aeroplane. When I say watermelon, watermelon. So these were examples of a single syllable, bisyllabic, trisyllabic, and multisyllabic word. So when I say procrastination, it has so many parts. Okay, so try to break down the parts, the word into parts. So you start with simple words like 2 syllables. Okay, usually in a single syllable word like car, there won't be a problem. You'll be able to understand. But in a word like window, okay, maybe the win will be there, but the door will sort of get swallowed. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to work in parts and get the child to to make sure, see, you can't correct each and every sound. It becomes very tedious for them also. But try and see if you can make them produce those, initial syllables of every part. So when I say watermelon, the wa, ta, ma, la, these 4 sounds, wa, ta, ma, la. If these 4 sounds are produced correctly, the overall clarity of that word will go up by, 80%. Right? So if the child says watermelon, okay, even if the child doesn't say n, the last n, we all have the ability, the closure effect that we all operate with, we will understand what they're saying. But make sure you break it into syllables and each syllable is produced correctly. The beginning sound of each syllable is produced correctly. Okay? So going
at
on.
least the daily words uses can be, broken into this manner and practice.
Frequently use. Make a list of frequently used words.
Yeah.
And you can work like that.
Yeah. The next question is,
you can
till
do
what age?
Any age. Oh, this is Lakshya's mom. Yeah.
Yeah. Suhasini.
Yes, any age you can do articulation drilling. But the older they grow, the tougher it gets. Okay, yes. So you'll have to use a lot of reinforcement strategies with Lakshan. Get him to do. I'm sure you can do because your son is a star performer and you're a star mother also.
Yes. The next question is that my son is old,
but not clear. He's a hyperactive also, so does not sit more than 10 to 15 minutes for any activity.
How I can make it.
Right. So hyperactivity is something that you need to address. Okay, it is a problem because not only for parents, it's a problem for us also, because you come into my session for a duration of half an hour or 40 minutes, out of which the child is roaming around the room for, 15 to 18 minutes. So what is the level of productivity over here, right? So always, before you make your child do a sit-down activity, make sure you drain the child's energy. Do an OT exercise. Do a hardcore physical exercise. Don't sit and do it at a time that is convenient for you. Do it at a time that, it follows physical exercise. He will naturally not have the energy to get up and run. Many times, nowadays, I've almost made it a practice to ask parents to bring hyperactive children after physiotherapy. They perform much better in my session. They just sit tight in that chair because they don't have the energy after physio to, roam around and climb up the grill and all that. They don't do it. So try to, do it after physical exercise. That will increase sitting tolerance, make the activity very interesting. Okay, keep pictures. So when you do articulation drills also, doesn't mean that you say and you ask them to repeat. That is very boring. Yes. So you keep picture cards of those sounds. Let them think a bit. You don't say pa, la, na like that. Put a word that begins with pa, a picture that begins with pa, a picture that begins with ma. Make them think and then produce. Make the activity interesting. And then you can have activities where you give different picture cards. He brings those cards together. The beginning sound of all that makes the entire word. Okay. So something like this, make it more creative and innovative. The child will sit. Okay. Can you teach us a little bit of articulation? Articulation drill is going sound by sound. Like for example, I'll take a simple sound, p. Okay. So to achieve p, I need to make sure that the child has complete lip closure. P. Okay. If the child has dental issues, most often they say p, 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 p. It's incomplete. Or it is b, 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 which means the tightness is not enough. So the difference between p and b, okay, there are two differences. You need to close it a little tighter for p, okay, not as much for b. And when you say p, you don't feel the vocal fold vibrating as much. But when you say b, there's a lot of vibration here. So it's a voiced consonant and p is a voiceless consonant. That's how we technically call it. That's not important. So when you say p, now think of how you can get your child to produce this. Okay, first do a lot of lip strengthening exercises. If the lip muscles are weak, how much ever you drill them, how much ever you try, it's not going to happen. I want to run a marathon, but both my knees have gone. How will I run? I won't even be able to cross half a kilometer, right? So I have to work on strengthening my knees. And once you strengthen it, you will be able to get the child to close it. Close the lip to produce purr. Then give a lot of visual activities. In the sense, you can keep a birthday candle and say, blow it with the sound. Because the child knows that if it's kept close, then little pressure is needed to blow off the candle. Then move it further and say, the child is automatically going to close it tighter and put more pressure to blow the candle, right? Use simple strategies like this. Then go on to drilling. So when I say drilling, you have to, once the child is able to produce the purr has to be produced with vowel combinations. Per a, per e, per u, per a, per I, per ow blends. A and u, ow blends. Okay, because that's how it appears in words, right? It doesn't come independently. As such, has no meaning. But when you say Papa, it means dad, or it means baby in Tamil. Papa is baby in Tamil. Papa is Papa, dad, daddy in Hindi.
Yeah.
So Papa, only when the pa combines with the a, it makes a meaningful word. So make the child combine the consonant, the target consonant with different vowels. Put the vowels in different permutation combinations for the child to say. Then we work on producing the pa in initial position, middle position, final position. Pa can occur anywhere in a word. In computer, it comes right in the middle. So poor children will struggle. They'll just omit it because they don't close their lip. They don't take that effort to computer.
Yeah.
That's why. Comes right in the middle. So you need to start working on initial sounds. So sounds which begin with words which begin with per, then words which end with per, then some words which have per in the middle. Make word lists like that and you drill them. Okay?
Yeah.
For speech regression.
Yeah, but my son is 7 years old.
After illness at 4 years, only few consistent nouns.
Yes.
And shells him for inability to try or attempt communication. What you mentioned for adults, same thing happens to my kids. Schooling affected as they reject non-verbal.
But he's confident and he's.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm a speech therapist. I used to believe 15 years ago that, if I don't make a child speak, then I failed in my job. No, not anymore. You need to make your child communicate. It's like how parents are now accepting liberal education. You need not be a topper. You need not be in a CPSE system or an ICSE board and be a topper to succeed in life. How does your marks matter? What am I doing with my gold medal? Nothing. My husband has always earned more than me and he's always been a very average student. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether they are verbal or whether they are non-verbal. They have to be able to communicate. If you shut the communication channel, then you're in trouble. Aggression, frustration, depression, all those things will come. Okay, so it's something that will just curb all their emotions. Where is the channel for them to emote themselves if they don't communicate? So it's okay if they are non-verbal. First, you accept if they are non-verbal and take him to a school which will understand this. Right? See, for a non-verbal child today, we can give all the kind of support that is possible. We can give. We can have a shadow teacher. We can have a scribe. The child can communicate with ASC. Beautiful systems have come. Children use iPads, Avas, this app, that app. So many apps are there. 100 ways are there to make them communicate. So let's not shut their channel and their opportunity to get education, their right to get education just because they are not. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
while
think, we will read the whole question, ma'am. I think it is in the continuity with the last question this parent has
by
asked that,
breaking his speaks, but
yeah,
won't be able to speak the whole. Yeah, I think I addressed that. My child is 20
yeah,
months old and he's only
20
speaking
months
Dada,
old,
sometimes
only
Papa.
speak
Start
Dada.
therapy. Yes.
Something like
Wait for what? Start therapy or start working at home only with your child. You don't have access to a speech therapist.
vocabulary.
Start
Yes,
working with, as I said, vocabulary. Work on building the child's vocabulary. That's most important. 20 months, not even 2 years old. Okay, now your aim, sole goal in life should be to get your child to have a vocabulary of 300 words. Next to 6 months, I've given you the goal. Take it.
yeah, yeah. So
My
next
son
one
is
says, my
8 years old.
8 years old, he speaks maximum words and even he speaks in some sentences, but his volume is too high. How can I improve? Even
Okay,
he don't want to sit and learn.
right.
Maybe.
Now you need to, first thing that strikes is when the volume is high, is it because, is the child getting enough feedback? Is he having a block? Is he having otitis media? Is his middle ear blocked? Please get that checked. Get your child's hearing checked. If the hearing comes down, you tend to speak more. Right? We've seen all our oldies in the house do that. They
Yes.
scream because they can't hear themselves. There
Yes.
is some feedback issue. Please get that sorted first. Okay. And you can use visual feedback again. Simple in your phone, take the voice recorder and show that, he has to be soft and the
Yeah.
line shouldn't
Yeah.
go this
The
big.
mother
Visually,
mother updates, she says everything is good, even hearing is good. I think they've got it checked.
okay. Hearing is good. Was that they got it checked? Okay.
I hope so. Nidhi, if you're there, would like to
Yes,
unmute and
ma'am.
ask.
Actually, he is good. Like, hearing is good. Everything is good. Even he just sometimes he speaks the sentence. Like, I also got like shocked that how can he speak so much of clarity and making new words and arranging them in the sentences. But sometimes his volume gets higher. I think in excitement and things like that. I think in that case he gets higher in his volume. So it is like that. Like if he wants to tell something to me or something to every person at house, so at that time he just increases his volume, and at the time of play also he just increases his volume. It is
So
like that.
obviously, it's related to excitement and change in the temperament of the child, right?
Okay.
So you need to sit and give him a visual feedback of his loudness.
Okay.
He's not able to do that. Okay, he's not able to sense that he's shouting. I also have that problem, by the way.
And the thing is, like, one more thing I want to add here. Like the thing is what I can say, uh like he don't want to sit, like whatever he is knowing, he just capture things from the surroundings and that's it for him. Like he don't want to sit and learn the things that what is wrong, what is right. It is like that. So how can I just help him out
Don't
with that?
say that it is right, wrong. Even when we work on fluency, okay, the child is stammering like hell, like crazy. We don't say it is bad speech. Okay, it's not bad speech. We use different terminology. You can say it's like a car. My car is going smooth when I talk like this. But when I say car, my car is going on a bumpy road. So let's not do bumpy speech. Change your vocabulary, change the connotation. Okay. The moment you say bad, they want to do only the bad also. It's children, I tell you. The moment you say what you're doing is bad, they'll say, हाँ वही करना है. Okay. So don't give this good bad thing as an example. Keep the activity interesting. Otherwise, working on these are salient things. Working on voice, fluency, all these, they're not adults. Okay, they don't understand the importance of these things. Now, if I'm an adult and I need to go for a group discussion, I need to appear on media, I have to do an Instagram reel, then yes, I'm so concerned about my speech. Whatever the speech therapist says, I will follow. But these are children. They will forget. They will not want to. These are boring things for them because they don't understand in the first place. Okay, so use like a, I remember my professor Rupa ma'am used to give us this example while working with children who suffer from hearing impairment. She'd say how to modulate the voice. Okay, she'd say keep a big truck, keep a small car. Visually tell them that you are sounding like a truck that goes like that. You don't sound like that. You need to be smooth like a luxury car, that's the engine of a luxury car that makes no sound, like how these electric cars go smooth. That's how you should. So give them different types of examples and analogies. That will help. Okay, he has to visualize. He is not able to make that auditory discrimination. Okay, make him visualize that his voice is loud. So put the voice recorder and see, देखो जब चिल्लाते हो वो so many bands come. Talk softly. The bands have to be small, like that. Okay.
So since we have already a short time, there are questions I will quickly go through, ma'am. How to deal with self-talk? It's regarding an adult.
How to deal with self-talk. Where is it?
It's just behind. I mean, it is regarding an adult self-advocate. I mean, we know.
Adult, is it? Okay.
Just adult. Yeah.
Okay. Self-talk is again to do with the child, your daughters or sons.
Yeah.
Mind.
It is coming from the same parent who asked that does
Okay.
age impacts the communication or
Yes. It is definitely to do with the mind. Okay. When 100 thoughts are going on, they sort of, say it. They like to talk about it. And that's because they want to listen to it. Okay. It has nothing to do with language or speech.
Yeah. So the next says that my son is 4-year-old and he speaks only Dada. What should be done? Is therapy only way? Yeah. Ma'am, like speaks, but voice is low. Please give some tips to improve pitch.
Daksh's voice is low, not always, Subhashni.
Yes.
And he
With
wants
her, I guess.
in his videos and all, I've seen him nicely shouting. But if his voice is low, you have to, as I said, I just addressed the question. Like the way you want to modify loud voice, you can modify soft voice also by giving him visually that it is not enough. I play this very effective game with children. So what I do is I'll show my back and sit in the session.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at you. I'm going to sit behind. I'll keep a few cards in front of you, picture cards. You describe the card. I have to guess what it is. Okay. Oh. And if I make you repeat more than 3 times, then you lose a point. So without making us ask for repetition, they should be loud, clear, and communicate with that, effectiveness. So if the picture is a ball and the child says, I can't hear you, 1 point gone. You have 2 more chances to be clear and loud. So they say, I play with 8. So yes, now I hear. Is it a toy car? No. Is it a ball? Yes. Like that. Okay, so cut off the visual, make the child be more conscious and aware of and take that responsibility of making himself understood by others. Okay, that you need to get Laksh to do. He has to understand that he needs to put the effort to be understood. Okay, the problem is parents, we prompt too much. We give them too many prompts. Cut the prompts. नहीं मुझे समझ में नहीं आता. I don't understand. You correct it yourself. They will do. Okay, one last question. Ma'am, Taksh बोलता है, but बहुत धीरे से बोलता. हाँ, same.
What you said. It's the same in Hindi. Yeah. Said my adult is 23 years old, but words and sentences is not complete and clear.
I think
clarity.
This also.
You have already answered. Yes. So I think we should skip to the last. Tampering के लिए क्या करें मैम?
Tampering के लिए therapy लेना पड़ेगा. You have to see what are the situations that trigger stammering. That is now number 1. Number two is where the breakdown is happening, that will be analyzed by a speech therapist, and that will give them, you know, a baseline to set their goals and start working with the child. But you have to, as a parent, first thing you can do is to reduce their rate of speech. Bring their rate of speech down. Ask them to give enough pauses and gaps between words. Between words, they have to give time. Okay. So start off with that, but get your daughter assessed by a speech therapist.
Yeah. So I think Parul, we have touched upon, though we had to skip few questions. Ma'am, would you like to drop your email ID?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So parents, for information, IIDSC 2024, we have Sharanya ma'am there in Kolkata. Do come, bring your children, and we will get one-on-one consultation with the specialist, I think. Brinda, would you like to update on that? So you can
Yes.
register. Yeah, please.
Please register using the this thing given to you. The link has already been shared across groups, and request you all to please register for the conference. Like Sammy told you, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize my video was off. So as Sammy told you, we have a one-on-one with all the doctors and the therapists, and this is something that you should not be missing at all. So please register using the link provided. We have only 10 more rooms left, because we had already said it is either 100 rooms, first come, first serve. 90 rooms have already gone. We have 10 more rooms left. So please do register. In case of any clarifications, please feel free to connect with me. I'm there in all groups, I presume. So please feel free to connect with me in case of any further clarifications. We look forward to seeing all of you at IITSC, Kolkata, 12th to 15th September 2024.
I'm very excited about Kolkata, and it's the time to network, for all of us to meet. It's not about just meeting, greeting, and having fun, but so much learning happens, not only for parents, for us also. You know, it is the time we get to talk to our the other professionals, and you know, they are right there. I have the dentist right next to me, and I can immediately get things addressed, you know. So please, parents, I also urge you to register and please attend the conference. It's very, very nice. It's a wonderful experience. And of course, we'll all be there. We are coming only to meet you all. So yeah. Our time is guaranteed.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल शरण्या मैम, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका। इतना बढ़िया सेशन आपने हमें दिया है आज, इतनी सारी जानकारियां दी हैं।
ट्रांसलेशन के लिए टाइम ही नहीं दिया मैंने।
ये बिल्कुल ट्रांसलेशन की जरूरत ही नहीं थी, आपको इतने अच्छे से बच्चों ने और पेरेंट्स ने समझा है। मैं अपना जो बाइंडिंग वाला टाइम है वो ये पेरेंट को देना चाहती हूँ, जिनका ये बार बार आ रहा है सवाल कि मेरे से जवाब दीजिए। तो ये इनका बच्चा एग्रेसिव हो जाता है, 4 साल का है, वो नॉन वर्बल है, और जब वो नहीं समझ पाते उसकी बात, तो वो एग्रेसिव भी हो जाता है। तो प्लीज आप इनका जवाब दे दीजिए।
Yes.
Okay, see, aggression is only out of frustration. Yeah, because they are not able to communicate their needs. No point in sitting and saying kya hua, bolo. Stop that first. As a parent, you should have an idea as to why the child is you know, being aggressive. Okay, at least some idea. Give the child 3 or 4 options. Okay, visually put those cards in front. Kya bhook lagi hai? Or you don't want to do this activity? Yes or no? Break it down. Give the child, you know, that opportunity to say yes or no, so that, because the child is not thinking. At that point, anger is so high that they cannot tell you why they are angry and why they are aggressive. First thing to do is to calm your child down. Calm your child down. Give your child some water to drink. You know, hug your child, calm your child down, and then sit them down and tell them, ask them, give visual options and say, abhi kya chahiye? No, mama is helping you. Okay? Make them understand that you are helping them. Then, a wonderful tool is social stories. So catch Shivani auntie. Okay. There are some wonderful social stories that help children deal with aggression. You need to, you know, condition their mind to say that aggression is not okay. What is the consequence of aggression? It also disturbs mama. It upsets papa. Okay, it hurts us at times physically. It's not done. Okay, so what can you do? In simple steps, social stories will just break it down for your child. All you need to do is see one thing, it is very time consuming. You cannot see results overnight, even with social stories and with visual aids. Use visual aids and use social stories consistently, the behavior will change. Read it like a bedtime story, the social story every day.
जी बिल्कुल। सबसे पहले शरण्या मैम का कहना ये है कि सबसे पहले हमें ही बदलना पड़ेगा और एक अपना धैर्य हमें रखना होगा, सब्र हमें रखना होगा अपने बच्चे के साथ काम करते हुए। और शरण्या मैम से और भी आपको बातें करनी है, 1 to 1 आपको सेशन चाहिए उनसे, या आप सवाल चाहिए अपने बच्चों के बारे में, तो आप आइए कलकत्ता में, उनसे मिलिए और हम सब आपके लिए वहाँ पर तैयार ही हैं। बहुत जल्दी हम ये भी कहने वाले हैं कि रूम सारे बुक्ड हो गए हैं और आप रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं कर सकते, तो प्लीज उस दिन से पहले आप अपने रजिस्ट्रेशन कर लीजिए और आ जाइए, क्योंकि तब हमें भी बहुत दुख होता है और हम चाहकर भी आपके लिए कुछ नहीं कर पाते हैं। फिर बहुत सारे ऐसे ऑप्शन ढूंढने पड़ते हैं जो बहुत सारी तकलीफें भी आपके लिए लेके आ सकते हैं। तो आइए कलकत्ता में मिलिए हमसे। और सेल्फ टॉक वाली जो एक बात किसी ने कही है, मैं अपने एक्सपीरियंस से शरण्या मैम बताना चाहती हूँ कि मेरे लिए तो सेल्फ टॉक बहुत ही अच्छा है चांदनी का, जब मैं सुनती हूँ, क्योंकि एक तो बहुत ही जासूस किस्म की माँ हूं मैं, तो मुझे पता चलता रहता है कि ये क्या करने वाली है, क्या इसके मन में चल रहा है, तो मैं वो सुनती रहती हूँ कि इसका नेक्स्ट मूव क्या है, क्या ये सोच रही है, क्या कर रही है। और कहते हैं सेल्फ टॉक तो हम लोगों के लिए भी अच्छा है, तो सेल्फ टॉक इज मतलब गुड। अब बच्चा बात कर रहा है, पहले तो हमारी प्रॉब्लम ये होती है कि वो बात नहीं कर रहा है, अब वो बात कर रहा है, प्लान कर रहा है, तो अच्छी बात है। मुझे नहीं लगता सेल्फ टॉक कोई ऐसी है। और कई बार ना कुछ बिहेवियर ऐसे होते हैं, बच्चे इस एज में ना बहुत सारी नई चीजें सीख रहे होते हैं, 6 महीने के लिए, 1 साल के लिए वो कुछ चीज पकड़ते हैं, फिर उसके बाद कुछ और करने लग जाएंगे। कभी वो आपको बाहर लेके जाएंगे, आप 4-5 साल का बच्चा है, चांदनी बहुत फ्लोर पे ना लेट जाती थी मॉल में जाके, ये कर रहा वो तो जरूरी नहीं है कि वो मॉल में लेट रही है फ्लोर पे, हो सकता है कुछ बोलना चाह रही हो इसलिए फ्लोर पे लेट रही हो, या उसको लेटने में ही मजा आ रहा हो। तो 6 महीने के अंदर अंदर ना उनकी चीजें बदल जाती हैं। थोड़ा सा सब्र रखिएगा, जिंदगी को इतना भी ज्यादा सीरियस मत लीजिए, कि बहुत आसान सी चीज है, आराम से कट जाएगी। अपने बच्चों का प्यार और उनका होना सबसे बड़ी बात है। थैंक यू आज के सेशन के लिए सरीना मैम, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। आप सबका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। शनिवार को अगली बार हम आपसे फिर मिलेंगे, मैं समीक्षा और वृंदा जी। नमस्ते।
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Those who have questions, please write to me. Send me an email tonight. I'll try to sit over the weekend and reply.
थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू।
Thank you.
Thank
so much,
you.
Sharanya
Thank
ma'am.
you,
Thank you,
Sharanya
guys.
ma'am, and
Thank you,
thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
See you
Lovely
all,
seeing you all, and see you all soon.
see you
Thank
all
you,
soon.
ma'am.
Bye-bye. Take care. Please register for IIDSC. Bye-bye. I'm ending the meeting now.